Hey everybody, this is Cardboardpi. We're back with another Unity tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about creating a skybox that changes with the sun. That's going to be changing from day to sunset to night, sunrise, and then back to sun again, and it'll cycle on with that. So let's show off the demo here so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So you notice some of the shadows are moving because that makes sense because our sun is moving. It's moving a little slow for this demo, but this is faster than what you would normally want. And here it turns into a sunset skybox. As it dips down a little bit more, it's going to turn to night. And then I'll cut back to once it gets over here. Here we can see our sun coming back up. And as it gets close, it's going to do the sunrise, which is pretty bright. And then it'll go back to being the day skybox again. Cool. Alright, so now we have an empty scene here. So let's get it populated with what we need. So I'm going to create a cube for our floor. 20 by 20. I'll add a material on it, just some grass. Nothing too complicated. And the material's just a picture of some grass. Next I'm going to add a first person controller, just so that we can see where the sun is moving throughout our scene. That way it's acting accordingly. Looks fine. I'm going to be adding some trees in here. This is just so that I can see how the lighting is being affected with the shadows, making sure that they're moving when the sun moves. So I'll just add some trees in here. Now that we got that all situated, let's make the actual object that's in charge of creating causes our sun to move. I'm just going to call it Sun Cycler. We're going to add sun. Let's right click on it, go to Edit Script. And here, all I'm going to do is get rid of this, get rid of the comments, get rid of these two using statements. I'm not going to use those. And then I'm going to create two variables for the game object, which will be our sun. I don't have to set them to null. It's a habit of mine. Private float. This will be the speed at which our sun moves. Set it to 1. In our update, all we're going to do is be rotating our sun object. So it's going to do sun.transform.rotate. And I'm going to be rotating it along the x vector. So I want it to go in a leftwards direction because the sun in our world goes from east to west, and it's a leftwards direction. You can choose any other direction you want, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to be doing it this way. So we want to multiply by sun speed and times delta time. So it's smoothed, and that should be it for the simple side of it. So I'm going to rename our light here, because this is what's going to be our sun. I'm going to set this to 0 and this to 0. And I want to look at the direction at which our light is pointing. So here you can see it's facing along the Z direction. I want it facing downwards, so I'm going to make it 90 degrees on the X. And then I want to go to the lighting here, because if you don't do this, it doesn't update the lighting properly when it's moving. So just make sure you drag the light object, or the sun object, into where it says sun source here. Where it says light map settings here, progressive CPU. I'm going to use progressive GPU just so it goes a little faster. If you don't want to, you can do CPU, so it's a little slower, but it's fine. Now we got the lighting all rendered. So let's go to our sun cycler and make sure that we drop our sun here. I'm going to give this a speed of 10 for right now, then we'll edit it while the game is running. Okay, so let's locate where our sun is. It's directly above us, which it should be. We go to our sun cycler. I'm going to give this a speed of 10. I'll move 10 times faster. Some trees in the way, but that's fine. We'll see the sun move down to the horizon. It darkens, gives like a little sunset effect. That's pretty cool. And it goes completely dark as it's nighttime. And if we head over in this direction, the sun should show up here. Yep, there it is. Does a nice little sunrise effect, and then it goes back to being day. So you can see the shadows moving along as well. So if that's all you guys needed for a simple day-night cycle, this is pretty much it. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth of using different Skybox materials. So I'm going to go back into our script. I'm going to create 4 material variables. And be material for our day Skybox. Set that to null. Cut that and paste it 4 times to mimic the demo having the day, a sunset, night, and a sunrise. So next would be sunset, night, and then sunrise. So I'm going to make a function, public void change to day. This, all we need to do to get, because what we want to do is change this skybox here, this material, the default skybox, to whatever we want here. To get some skyboxes for this tutorial, I'm going to click on the window tab here at the top. I'm going to go to Asset Store, move this over, and I'm just going to get some free skyboxes to use. So I'm just going to type Skybox and see what comes up. Here you can see it's a pretty decent Skybox collection. I think they have some where you can get some for free. As you see, I've got this customizable Skybox. This is what we're going to be using in this tutorial. There's some other ones I think I downloaded, but I recommend using the customizable Skybox if you want to see the sun moving. You'll just need to click over here, import it. It'll prompt up to do another download. Download it, and it'll get you all the things you'll need. So it's going to close that. Go back to our scene. Move this over. Once that's done, we can go to Day Skybox. We'll see these day materials here. Let's click on 6. For sunset, there should be some sunsets too. See where here they are. Let's do that one. Should be night. Here's a night. I'll go with night 3. It doesn't really matter right now. And then the sunrise. It's at the bottom here. Oh, did I miss it? Oh, there it is. Morning. I'll go with this one. So what we need to do is we would need to say render settings dot skybox, and this allows us to just insert our new skybox material. Since this is day, change to day function, you just say day skybox. And I'm going to copy and paste, make a couple more functions, but for each of the cycles, change to sunset, night, change to sunrise. Make sure I change these as well. Sunset skybox, night skybox, and sunrise skybox. So now we need to be able to detect how our sun is moving. So I'm going to have this visual here to help explain how we're going to be programming the changes in the various skybox materials. So here's a very simple representation of our scene. This blue thing is our player. The green is the platform I created. Slight blue is kind of the current skybox that we have and what our sun will be rotating around. This gray dashed line kind of represents the angle with respect to the world. So we want to find out what this is, so that way we can properly know at what position we should be changing from day to sunrise, sunset, night, so on. So from what I've gathered, the way my sun stuff is set up, in our first quadrant we go from 0 degrees to 90 degrees. It goes back down to 90 to 0 degrees, 360 degrees to 270, and 270 to 360. A bit weird, but we can work with it. So what I'm going to do is set up a day range and a night range. About 10 to 20 degrees somewhere in here, 340 to 350 degrees somewhere down here, and it'll be the same there. Remember that around here is about 10, and this is also 10 because it goes back down. And the same for these as well. These don't have to be set in stone. You can adjust them to however you see fit. So our sun, in this case, is going to be moving in a counterclockwise rotation. If yours isn't, try to figure out what rotation it's going in. That way you have a better understanding of calculating what the change in the sun angle, because we're going to use that to also help denote when to change. Looking in the first quadrant here, we see that we're going from 0 degrees to 90 degrees. We know that the change in degrees will always be increasing, and when we go in the next quadrant, we see that we're going from 90 to 0, and we know that our change in angle is decreasing. The reason that we want to know that, we want to know when to turn for each day, sunset, night, and sunrise. So if we're looking at our day here, this area will have the sunrise skybox active. This area will have the day skybox active. This area will have the sunset skybox active, and this area will have the night skybox active. And these points here are when we know to trigger the changes to each skybox. So here we know that we need to be within the day range, 10 to 20 or whatever value you guys want. We need to check if this angle, denoted by the gray dashes again, is within this range and that we're going increasing. Then that means we can turn to day, and we just call our change to day function. And since that we're using the same day range, we need to check again for the sunset if our sun angle is within that range, but we're also decreasing. That's the important difference here, is that each side is always going increasing and the other is decreasing. And we would do the same thing when we want to change to night. Instead of using the day range, we use the night range here and make sure that we want to check for a decreasing change in our angle. And when we want to change to sunrise, we want to check if we're in that night range and we're going in an increasing form. Just a side note, you don't have to have it rely on the day range twice. You can make this area here its own range as well as the sunrise here. I'm doing it because I'm a bit lazy and I feel like the sunrise will stop and turn into the day at the same time day turns into sunset, if that makes sense. Now that we got that kind of explanation going, I'll have this visual in the bottom right of the video to help explain some of the code as we go on. Okay, so let's get our public void, I'm going to call this check change cycles. And within it, it's going to take a transform and call it sun trans. And in that, we want to get the x angle of our transform. So we just do float sun angle should be sun trans dot. We want to do your angles x. And to utilize this function, we're going to have it in our update. Fix some things here. So I'm going to have transform object here called sun trans. This is going to be equal to the sun transform. We're just going to replace this here accordingly. The reason I'm doing that is that way we can just input check change cycles in our update and just input the sun trans. We're going to have private variable float, call it last sun angle 0. And I'm going to give a bool to private bool last sun. And this is just going to be so that we can set it for the first instance of check change cycles. That way we have a value. If last sun false, what we want to do, set it to true. That way we don't have to call it again. And we set last sun angle equal to sun angle. And then we'll just put last sun angle, set that to sun angle. So here I'm going to have a bool called is increasing if sun angle is greater than the last sun angle. Now we can just write some easy if statements. So if we want to look at the first instance, when we want to change today, check if we are increasing. So we say is increasing, and we need to check if we're in our date range, which I forgot to add here. So I'll do serialize field, private vector2 day range, new vector2, and it's going to give it 10 and 11. Should be fine. Copy and paste. Oops. For our night range. And I'll give this 540, 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. 541. So these two values are going to be, the left side will be our min value, and the right side will be our max value. So now we just need to check if our sun angle is greater than or equal to the day range x, and sun angle is less than or equal to our day range y. And if so, we just do change to day. So I'm going to copy this if statement, paste this a couple of times, because it's going to be a similar setup for change to sunset, change to night, change to sunrise. This we just need to say we're decreasing or not increasing. This needs to be not increasing, and this needs to change to night range. This needs to change to night range as well. Copy and paste this, put it right here. Now we don't have to rewrite. Cool, so I think that's it. Alright, we're back in Unity. So let's click back on Sun Cycler. We have the material set, the range that we want to do this. One little thing, I'm going to put a print statement just to make sure that we have this all right. So I'm going to add actually a UI. So I'm going to use Text Mesh Pro, so I need TM Pro on here. It's going to be a private Text Mesh Pro GUI, and call this sun text. And what we're going to do is just here, sun text dot text is equal to sun angle equals sun angle. This is just a fancy way of plopping in values into a string. That should be it. So I'm going to put a UI text. I have to make sure this event system is replaced with the new Unity input system, otherwise it will complain. I call it sun text. I'm going to go into 2D view to properly set this text up here. Give it a yellow look. Something like that. Change the font. There. I'm going to align it at the bottom. Something like that. I'll make the text a little bigger. And then, so we need to go to our Sun Cycler, drop in the text there. This is if you want this. But I'm going to put an awake start method. And then start, I'm just going to say change to day. That way we start with the day Skybox. Alright, let's try running it again. So we see we have this new Skybox. Where's our sun? There it is. And when it gets to, I believe, 10 or 11 degrees, somewhere in there, it changes to sunset. It's going to change into nighttime. It didn't change it to nighttime. I must have done something wrong. Oh, I see what I did wrong. For some reason I put 340 or 540 and 541. That's never going to happen. So if we do this again, put the speed at 5, it should work now. So we follow our sun again. It's going down this way. It's approaching the range where it should turn to sunset. It does. And then it should turn to nighttime. It does, good. I'm going to increase the speed to 10 so we don't have to wait too long. And it should come over on this side and turn to sunrise. And it did. Cool. It's going to turn back to day. And it'll keep doing this over and over. So that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys next time.